So what we are going to do, we want to work with the database. So what we want to do, we want to work with the database. You already know this is models.py file. So here through this models.py file only we are going to communicate with the database. What we are going to do, we are going to communicate with the database using this particular models.py file. So here what I need to do, here we need to define the structure. We need to define the structure of the database. Structure of the database. Yes, can you tell me what is the this one particular command, the query you will be writing for creating a table in SQL? To create a table in SQL, what is the command you will be writing? Query you will be writing, everyone. What is the query? Forgot SQL. So let us assume I want to create a student table. Yes, correct. Correct, everyone, correct. So create followed by you need to give a table. Then you need to give a name for your table. Then what you need to give? You need to give the table name. So let us assume I want to create the student table. So what I will be giving the name as student. This will be the name of the student. Okay. Now what I am going to do, after this I am going to add the columns. I need to specify the column, along with the column what type of data that particular column can hold. That also I need to pass. So let us consider I want to create a column by the name, by the student name. Let me give it as yes name. Okay. I want to create a column by the name yes name, which will be having the student name, and it will be of the type varchar. So we have varchar type in our SQL, and for our varchar type we need to pass the length of our character. So let me pass 20. So something you can pass. After that, if I have an age column, that will be of type number. Then anything else? Yeah, email. So email I can have, which will be again I can take it as varchar. The SQL query. What you cannot do, you cannot write the SQL query. So if you want to create a table, then what you need to do? How to create the table? So if you want to create the table, here you need to write, you need to make use of Python class and create the table. What you need to do? You need to make use of the Python class to create the table. As it is a py file, you cannot write the SQL file. To create the table, you need to make use of Python class. Here only the Python code can be written. So how to create the table in our Python? We need to make use of Python class. So you can give class followed by you need to give a name for this class, which will be considered as the model name, or you can tell it as the table name or column name also. So here you need to pass a class name, which we will be calling it as the model name, which we will be calling here as model. So each and every table in our Django terminology, we will be calling them as the model. Each and every table, we will be calling them as the model. So whatever the name you will be giving for the class will be considered as model name. Or else you can also call it as the table name. So class followed by, let me give the model name as the student. Okay. Now if you just create like this class student, when I run the server, what my Python interpreter will think? It will think it is going to take it as a normal class. But is it a normal class? No. It is not a normal class. I need to make use of Python class and create a model. What we need to do? We need to make use of Python class and create the model. I need to tell my Django server that I am going to create my model. I am going to create the model. To tell the Django server that I am going to create the model, I require some property. This particular student class requires some property. Where are those properties present? Those properties are present in a class by model. I have a class by the name model. In that particular class, the properties for creating the database, for creating the table are present. If I use that class only, then my Django server will come to know that I am trying to create the table. Or else what it will consider? It will consider as a normal Python create used to define the structure of the database. Using the Python class, I want to define the structure of my database. So to define the structure of my database, I require few properties. Where are these properties present? These properties are present in a class by the name model. Where are these properties present? These properties are present in a class by the name model. From there, I need to inherit the properties. So from where is this model class present? It is present inside the models module. So models.model. What it is going to do? It is going to tell the Django server that this is not a normal class. This is not a normal Python class. It is used to define the structure of the database. I am inheriting the properties from the model class. Using the properties, I am going to define the structure of my database by the name student. Student will be my model name. Understood everyone? I want to create the database. I want to create my table. So how to create the table? So you have your SQL query to create the table. This is your SQL query using which you can create the table. But as you can observe, this is not a SQL thing. What this is .py. It is a Python file. In the Python file, can you write SQL query? It is not possible. It is not possible to write the SQL query in the Python file. So what you are trying to do? You are trying to use Python concept is your classes. Using this Python class concept itself, you want to define the structure of your database. So when you just give class student, what your Django server is going to think? It is going to assume that you are only trying to create, you are just creating one Python class. You are trying to create one normal Python class. But is it that you want to do? What you want to do? You want to define, you want to create the model, you want to create the table. So I need to tell, right? I need to inform, I need to tell my Django server that I am creating the database. I am creating my model. So for that, I require few properties. What I require few properties. Where are those properties present? Those properties are present inside the model class. I have a class by the name model where all the properties have been predefined by the Django server itself. We need not worry regarding the property. All the things are provided by Django itself. We need to just inherit them. So where is this model class actually present? This model class from which I need to inherit, it is present inside a models module. So I need to give models.model. So what is here? Here my model is the super class. My model is the super class, whereas student is the subclass. Yes, Anshuman. Observe Anshuman, I am creating the database. I want to define the database. Database in the sense your tables. I want to create a table. I want to create create student table. So how to create it? Using your SQL query, this is how you will be creating. But can you create it using the SQL query in a py file? No, it is not possible. Py file should consist of only Python. So what you need to do, you need to define the structure of your database, structure of the model using your Python concept itself. So which concept you are making use? You are making use of Python classes. You will be making use of Python class to create the structure, to create the database. So here class followed by class name. So here the class name will be the model name. Model in the sense the table. In our Django terminology, we will be calling the table as the model. So model name equal to class name. Student is your model name and you can also call it as table name. So it is the model name or the table name. So to tell the Django server that you are going to create the table, you want to create a table by the student, you want to inherit few properties. Where are those properties present? Those properties are present in the model class. Those properties are present in a class by the name model, which is already created by Django itself. Everything is provided by Django. I need to just inherit them. So where is this Django class present? It is present inside the models module. So models.model. From the super class model, from the parent class model, my student class, the subclass, your derived class is going to inherit the properties from the super class model. From the super class model, student subclass is inheriting the properties. Now did you understand everyone? Yes, Anshuman, we cannot write the SQL query in the Python file. Migration /001 underscore initial.py. Are you able to get it, everyone? Run this command to make some modification in your models.py file and execute this command. A file will get created. Inside the migration folder, a file will get created. What actually this file is telling, let us enter. That initial equal to true. Initial equal to true in the sense that means you are applying the migrations for the first time. You are trying to convert the Python code to SQL query for the first time. Whenever you apply migrations for the first time, only then you will be able to see this initial equal to true. And then you have dependency equal to empty list. Why is it empty? Why? Because this is the first time you are applying the migration. So this particular file is not dependent on any other file. This particular file is not dependent on any other file. When you apply migration for the second time, that time you will be able to see that file name on which the file is dependent on. As you are applying the migration for the first time, your dependency will be empty list. Your dependency is empty list as you are trying to apply the migrations for the first time. Now I have operation in the sense what action to be taken. That is create model. I want to create a model. What is the name of the model? Student. Name equal to student. I want to create a model by the name student, and what and all fields should be present. Fields in the sense the columns. What and all fields should be present? ID, SName, age, email and address. I will come to your ID. Let us discuss the things which we have given. That is SName, age, email and address. SName is of char field, max length 20. Age integer field. Then I have email, models.email field, and I did not give max length for email. If you observe, for email I have not given the max length, but here I am able to see the max length. Why? Because according to the industrial standards, the maximum length of our email is 254. Maximum length of our email field is 254. according to the industrial standard, by default it is going to give max length of 254 characters. And then I have address text field. So these are the fields which I have defined in my URL. Which I have defined in my class. Yes, name, age, email address are the fields which I have defined in my class. Now coming to this ID, whenever you create any model, a field will be automatically generated. A field will get automatically created. That is your ID field. And by default, this particular ID field is a primary. By default, it is an auto-generated and it will get automatically incremented. For the first record, it will be 1. For the second record, it will be 2. Like this, it will get automatically incremented. It is an auto-generated, auto-incremented. By default, it is a primary key. It is an auto-generated, auto-incremented. By default, it is a primary key. So this is what your migrations file consists of. Whenever you convert this Python code to SQL query, you will be able to get a file created. The migrations file will get created. Now one more thing you can do, that is to check your SQL query. So what is your SQL query? That also you can check. To check the SQL query, the command is check the SQL query. If you want to check the SQL query, then the command is python manage.py SQL migrate app name followed by migration address. Followed by migrations address. So in our case it is python manage.py SQL migrate then application name, which is base, then the migration file address, that is 0001, that is your address of the file, 0001. Now if you give, it is going to give you the SQL query. The SQL query you are able to get. By default, all your fields are not null. By default, you cannot add a null value to any of your column. By default, they are non-relevant. Ventesh, what about you? Is it done, Ventesh? Yes, everyone, are you able to get the your existing model? Then how it is going to act? Let us observe. So now I want to add a column by the name roll number. I want to add the column by the name roll number. How it is going to happen? Check. Equal to models dot integer field. Okay. Now if I check my database, there is no roll number. Why? Because whatever the thing I have written, it is pure Python code. This code needs to be converted to SQL query, and the code needs to be executed. Then only I can check it's okay. So it is assuming that you have created few records. One is name something, Anushka. Then you have given the age, then some email ID, then some address. Okay, you have created one more record. Age, email, then address you have created. Now you want to create a third record. While creating the third record, you are going to add you want to create record. Lakshmi, you want to create a third record. While creating this third record, you want to add one more field by the name roll number. While creating the third record, you want to add one more field by the name roll number. But what about Anushka and Ranjan? What about the roll number value for Anushka and Ranjan? It is what it is asking. What to be done? This is because the database needs something to populate the existing rows. It is telling I want something to populate Anushka and Ranjan. I want something to populate the existing rows Anushka and Ranjan. It's fine. You want to add one more column for the third record. I am okay with it, but what to be done with the remaining records? What to be done for the remaining records? We know that there are no data in my database, but still it needs to handle this particular problem. That is, what if data is present? What to be done for Anushka and Ranjan? It is what asking. So for this problem, there are two solutions. That is, that time itself I told you that all of your columns are non-null. They are non-nullable by default. So first solution is to make a column nullable. Make the column nullable. Nullable in a sense you need to pass null equal to true. So if there are existing records, then for them the null value will be assigned. It will get assigned with the null value. If there are existing column, it will get assigned with the null value. So this is the first solution, and one more solution to assign a default value for the existing rows. To assign a default value for the existing rows. Let us discuss both the solution. First, let us try this solution. That is to make the column nullable. Now what I am going to do? I am going to give null equal to true. I will give null equal to true. So if there are any other records, previously if there are few records already created, for them null value will be assigned. For all those rows, the roll number will be null. This is one way in which we can handle this. So once again I am going to apply migrations. Python manage.py migrations. It is telling that 002 file has been created. If you check, here observe everyone. Here there is no initial equal to true. Why? Because I have applied the migrations for the second time. As I have applied the migrations for the second time, this is not my first time, so initial equal to true is not present. Whereas coming to the dependency, this particular 002 file is dependent on 001 file. This particular 2 file is dependent on 001 file. Now what is the action that it needs to take? The action is add field. Previously it was create field. Why? Because I was creating the field. Now the action is add field. I want to add a field to my existing model. To a existing table, I want to add the field. What is the name of the field? That is roll number, and it is of models.integer field null equal to true. So this is the field which I want to add to my existing model. Now let me apply migration. Migrate I want to apply. Let me check my database. Here is the base student. Go to base student and check. See, there is still no address. I want to execute the SQL query. To execute the SQL query, that is python manage.py migrate. Python manage.py migrate is the command to execute the SQL query. Execute and check everyone. It is phone number and it is of type integer field and we have a default value. Now let me go to the database. Base student I need to go. Is there a phone number? No. Let me apply migrate, then only I will get phone number. Now if I refresh, yes, I am able to get the phone number. So you need to either you need to make the column nullable or you need to pass a default value. These two solutions you need to follow. Whenever you are modifying an exam and we need to delete the data, we need to perform CRUD operation on our model. So our next task is to perform CRUD operation. So to perform CRUD operation, we have three different ways in which we can perform the CRUD operation. The first way is through the admin panel and the next way is through the shell and the third way is through the views. We have three ways in which we can perform the CRUD operation. So yes everyone, what about the project?